Welcome back to Explore with John McFall, and I want to take a little bit of a look at why visibility alone, unfortunately, won't save you. Let's bring that to life with a concrete story. So we were working with a high-tech manufacturer that was consistently battling inbound component delays. Their production teams were in firefighting mode constantly. Their existing visibility systems could tell them where shipments were, but it couldn't tell them what mattered. It wasn't connected to build schedules or part dependencies. So every time a delay happened, which was often, they scrambled, and that meant calls, emails, emergency freight, and it also meant a constant risk of missed delivery targets. We deployed a system and connected shipment data directly to specific production schedules. The platform identified which delays were critical, which then could be absorbed, and when alternate stock that was maybe nearby could be used. Most importantly, it calculated cost of delay and of mitigation. The outcome was a 38% reduction in expediting costs, a 24% boost in on-time build completion, and a planning team that stopped reacting and started orchestrating. They didn't just see the problem, they solved it before it became one. There is no easy button to any of this. The algorithms and data integration take time to deploy and learn, but the journey is clear. And for the manufacturer, the path to proactive planning had finally begun. Okay, all of that brings us to what I think is a bigger issue. Because what happened to the manufacturer we were talking about at the start isn't unique. Across every industry we work in, whether it's aerospace, oil and gas, automotive, FMCG, it doesn't matter. We see the same patterns. Companies have some visibility, but not the kind that lets them take control. Not the kind that turns data into decisions. So let's unpack why that is the case. Most companies today have some visibility, but it's rarely enough to drive confident action. Let's break it down into 3 key reasons. To me, one of the first is to do with latency. Even when data is available, if it often arrives too late to act, you may have a system showing your container was delayed, but only after it missed the vessel. Here's a real story. One of our partners had cargo booked to arrive in Rotterdam, timed precisely to hit a promotional launch. All the dashboards said on time, but congestion in the Red Sea and rerouting meant that the vessel skipped the port entirely. The ETA wasn't just late, it was irrelevant. Global shippers routinely face this. In 2023, Sea Intelligence reported that nearly 30% of vessels altered their schedule, port rotations, port departure, and a few systems updated downstream implications in real time. So what happened? Without predictive ETAs, you're always responding too late. With FlowWise, we integrate vessel risk and routing data to recalculate ETA with confidence and escalate only when it matters. Let's look at another one that I thoroughly enjoy, which is the Snapshot versus Flow. Traditional visibility systems, they give you a snapshot. It's frozen moments in time. Your order is at Port Klang. That's helpful, but it's not enough. What you need is flow. How long will it sit in customs? Will it miss its onward connection? Will warehouse delays push back delivery? It's kind of like imagine navigating on a motorway using images instead of live traffic feeds. You wouldn't. We worked with an oil and gas company supporting offshore operations. They needed to ship everything from critical components to daily rations. Once items left the warehouse, visibility vanished. Calls, emails, and WhatsApp groups took over. Even when shipments arrived at offshore facilities, no one knew where they were, or where they should be stored, or how quickly they were being consumed. FlowWise connected ERP, vessel telemetrics, and warehouse scanners to provide location, availability, and projected consumption, dramatically improving planning and reducing unnecessary resupply runs. The next area is data without decision. Sometimes visibility is there, but it's not actionable. You know your container is delayed, but does anyone know which order is impacted? Whether that order is critical? If there is a substitute stock available locally? What the cost of waiting versus action is? And by the way, each one of those is probably 4 or 5 different Excel spreadsheets in a lot of businesses. And that is where most visibility tools fall short. We saw this with a global automotive supplier. Vehicles were going off-road due to part unavailability. Planning teams resorted to emergency air freight, sometimes to countries where the part already was sitting idle in bonded warehouses. FlowWise is able to map this out, entire parts of the network, to activate service requirements by integrating maintenance alerts, inventory location, and inbound stock movements. We eliminated 2 million in avoidable air freight. These problems aren't theoretical. They happen every day in aerospace, in retail, in energy. More data isn't the answer. Ultimately, it's orchestration. Let's talk about the ecosystem of visibility providers. Today, supply chains rely on dozens of tools. It could be Forekites, Project 44, and Shippo, or multimodal tracking, Everstream AI for predictive risk and disruption alerts, SAP transportation management systems, Oracle, etc. It could be IoT sensors for cold chain, vibration, humidity, or shock alerts. It could be telemetrics for truck location, APIs from port authorities and carriers. Individually, these tools are excellent, but together they create fragmentation. And here's what that looks like in practice. We spoke with a logistics director at a global retail brand, and he told us this. He said, John, we have 12 different systems with location or risk data, and still no one knows what's arriving next Tuesday. Each system reports differently. Each has its own latency, precision, and confidence level. None share a universal SKU taxonomy. And most, they don't even connect to planning or finance. And what is worse still, this creates silos of belief. The operations team trusts one tool, the freight forwarder trusts another, the warehouse relies on a spreadsheet, and the procurement team, they just want to know the delivery date. And ultimately what happens is that you lose confidence in all of them. So the business reverts to its fallback, calls, email, WhatsApp, guesswork. So the core problem is this: more data does not equal more clarity. More signals does not equal better decisions. What's missing is convergence. FlowWise doesn't replace any of those tools I've just been talking about. We align them. We ingest signals from across the stack and translate them into structured, prioritized action. What shipment is critical? What's the risk? What's the cost of doing nothing? What's the best alternative? We build a decision layer, not just a visibility layer. And that, we believe, is the missing link. So what have we learned? Visibility is critical, but only when it's live, structured, and connected to decision making. Too many businesses today are still stuck in milestone mode. They're staring at ETAs, waiting for updates, hoping things arrive on time instead of knowing. FlowWise changes that. It's not just about seeing the supply chain, it's about understanding it, orchestrating it, and acting with confidence. In the next section, we'll show you how that orchestration works, from source to shelf, and how end-to-end control finally becomes real.